Hi, today we're going to do a really fun book structure. These are some of the tools that you're going to need in order to accomplish our project. And here's what our finished book is going to look like. The one side looks like a typical book with signatures, and then the other side has all of these wonderful pockets, and you can add some embellishments, and your pages can be removed and changed as you see fit. The first thing that you're going to do is grab 5 sheets of your 12 by 12 paper. These pieces of paper are going to become the inside structure of your book. So they're going to be the pockets. First thing you're going to do is fold it on the diagonal and then rotate it and bring the other corner up. And this time you're not going to fold it all the way across. You're just going to make a little mark right there on the fold. And then you're going to take the one corner and bring it up to that center mark. And you're going to do that all the way around for all 4 sides. If you have double-sided paper where the image is on one side and it's blank on the other, you can always figure out which way you want it to go after the fact. Don't worry about that now. You just want to fold all of these pieces right now. You can always reverse the folds later on if you need to. And you want to make sure all those folds are nice and sharp. Use your bone folder. If you don't have a bone folder, just use a tongue depressor or your fingernail. It doesn't matter. And then you're going to do that for all 5 sheets of your paper. So I did it the first time without doing any kind of measuring. But if you're really particular and you want to measure it, you can do that same fold that we did the first time, and use your bone folder and get a nice sharp fold on it, and then open it up. And then if you want to be totally exact, you can take a ruler and go from corner to corner and find the center point of that piece of paper and just put a little dot with your pencil there, and that will be the point that you fold everything up to. So whichever way works for you is fine. And then you're going to continue to do that for all 5 sheets of your paper. And then just make sure all your folds are nice and sharp. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our glue. You have Elmer's glue in your packets. This is Jade, which is a PVA, which is a acid-free adhesive. You can order it on Talus online. Dick Blick has it. And you're going to take 1 sheet of your book board and you're going to start to put a thin layer of glue. I always start in the middle, because somehow or another the edges dry a lot faster than the middle does. So you're going to use the middle and then just get your glue all over your book board and make sure that it goes nice and even all the way out to the edge. So now you're going to take your book board and you're going to put it with the glue side down on top of the paper. I cut my paper down so that it's about 3/4 of an inch, half an inch bigger than my book board. You want to have at least that much, and then you want to flip it over, smooth it out, and then put it aside and do the same thing for the next one. If you get glue on the surface where you're working, just flip your scrap paper over so that you don't get glue onto the front of your book. The next thing that you're going to do is really important in order to get a nice clean corner. You're going to cut the corners of that paper off, but don't cut too close to the book board. You want to at least 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch between the corner of the book board and where you're cutting on the diagonal. So you're going to cut those off of the 4 corners and do that for both pieces of paper. And I'm just trimming mine down. I don't want to have a lot of excess, so I just trim a little extra off with a ruler. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to fold those tabs over on the side. You don't need a lot of glue for this, so you want to just get a little bit of glue on your brush. You have too much, it's going to squeeze out all over and you're going to have a mess. Always have your scrap paper underneath, and then you're going to put a little bit of glue there, and then bring your bone folder and push that paper up and over. And then you're going to work on the opposite side and do the same thing. Each time I glue, I slide my area that I'm gluing to the left a little bit, so that I don't keep putting my book down into a gluey mess, because that'll get all over the cover. And then once you have the two sides done, now this is the really important part. You're gonna put the glue on that top fold there, and then this is really important in order to get a nice clean corner. You're gonna pinch those corners in on the sides just a little bit, and then you're gonna fold it over. If you don't pinch those in, you're gonna have like these little, I call them rabbit ears, that kind of stick out on the side, and it doesn't look attractive. So the same thing, you're going to put a little bit of glue down, again, not too much, and then you're going to pinch those corners in a little bit before you fold over that edge. Just pinch those in, fold it over. And then once you have those done, you're going to just put your book covers aside and just let them dry a little bit. I have a baby wipe handy all the time when I'm using glue, just to keep the glue off of my fingers, or you can use a damp paper towel, that's up to you. And then you're going to do both book boards. Now we're going to grab those pages that are the inside of our book, and we're going to fold them so that the folded edges, the triangles, are on the outside and that the flat side is on the inside. So you're going to do that for all of your 5 pieces of paper. And then once you have them all done, they're going to fit together just like that. So the triangles are actually what hold it together. So take your scrap paper and put it down. And this is a little trick that I learned. Have another piece of scrap paper and line it right up on top of that seam, so that the glue doesn't go over into an area where you don't want glue to be. It kind of protects it. And then you're going to use your glue stick. I think the glue stick is better for this particular application than the Elmer's glue. I think Elmer's glue will just make it too wet, or the PVA will make it too wet. And then you're going to line up your each of your book pages on one on top of the other, lining up that folded seam, and then pressing it down so that the triangles match up. And then you're going to keep attaching each of your folded sections one by one to the previous until you have them all attached to one another. And now your text block is complete. It's all attached, and now we've just got to attach it to the covers. So the next thing that we're going to do is attach our covers to the text block. You should have cut whatever decorative paper you wanted for the inside of your cover, so for your face paper. And you can do 2 things. You can either have the first triangle go on top of your face paper, or it can tuck underneath. You can do either one, it's totally up to you. I'm going to do mine where I take the triangle, I'm going to glue that down to the inside of my cover of my book, and then I'm going to put my face paper on top of that so that the triangle is hidden underneath the face paper. So I'm doing the same thing that I did before. I have my scrap paper down. I have a little protection piece on the right-hand side so that my glue doesn't get too much all over everything. And now I'm going to take that triangle piece and I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to put it down. I'm matching up my fold of my paper to the spine of the book, the outside spine. And then that way it'll be in the right place. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the back. So now I'm going to take my pre-cut face paper from my decorative paper that I had, and I'm going to put a little glue on it. And then once I get the glue all over the whole thing, I'm going to put it with the glue side down onto the inside of the cover of my book. And again, that's called the face paper of the book. And you just want to make sure it's cut just slightly smaller than the size of the book, size of the cover. So you want to kind of line it up with that inside seam and then leave the same amount on the top and the left side and the bottom so that there's like a little bit of space there so it doesn't go all the way up to the edge. So now what I'm doing is I'm just showing you on a blank sheet of the white 12 by 12 paper. I already pre-cut my decorative triangles for the inside of my book. What I did was I just took one of the 12 by 12 sheets, I folded it diagonally both directions, and now I'm just cutting off the folded edges so that they turn into individual triangles. So what I did was I'm just cutting off that extra piece there, just cutting off that other fold. And then I'm gonna take one of the triangles just to show you, this is just an example. I had already pre-cut mine. So I'm taking that triangle and folding it one more time. And then I'll cut off that fold as well. And then this triangle will be just slightly smaller than the triangles that are inside of your book. And then it'll just leave a nice little border around. I mean, you could cut it to the same size as the triangle in your book, that's fine. You can cut it to whatever you want, or you could not put anything there at all. That's just the way I like to embellish it. And then I would just cut enough of them so that I can either put them on one side or both sides. And I'm just going to use my glue stick and I'll glue those in. So once I get the glue on the triangle, I'll just put it in so that it meets the fold, the center fold of the book, and then it'll have a little space on the two sides. And then I'll just continue to glue those little decorative pieces on the triangles for the rest of the book. So that's the basic structure of our book, but we're going to do two more things to make it a little more fun. The first thing that we're going to do is we've got the one side that's got all the pockets, which is great, but the other side is a basic accordion, and what we're going to do is we're going to sew two signatures into the folds that are in the back. So that's where your 8" by 8" paper comes in handy, and you're going to take each sheet and individually fold them in half, each making a folio. A folio is what a single piece of paper is called when it's folded in half. And when you nestle them into each other, that's called a signature. So we're making 2 signatures. So now go ahead and give those folios a nice sharp fold with your bone folder and make your signatures by putting one page inside of another, so you'll have 2 of them. Now you're going to go ahead and grab that 4-foot piece of waxed linen cord that's in your package, and just take your bone folder and flatten out the one end a little bit with your bone folder, and it's a lot easier to get it through the eye of the needle that way. There's no need to put a knot at the end of your thread. You're just going to pull it through once. Now you're going to take one of your signatures. I made small little pencil marks, one in the middle, one about an inch from the left, one about an inch from the right. That's where you're going to poke your holes with your awl to attach it into the other side of your book. So you're going to take that signature and you're going to nestle it into one of the opposite side of your book, not the side that has the folds, the pockets. And you're going to make sure that it's even so that on the left side and the right side you have a nice tiny little space, so that the signature doesn't come all the way up to the edge. And then you're going to take your awl and you're going to poke a hole right into those 3 little pencil marks that go through the signature into your text block. Once you have that, you're going to take your needle and you're going to go from the inside of the book, passing it through to the outside. And then you're going to come in from the opposite side. Sometimes it's a little tricky. You might have to move some of the pages around in order to find that hole to get it back in. And you're going to come back into the center of your book, going through the actual book structure into the signature. And then once you come back into the center, you're going to pull that thread up, make sure you don't lose your tail, and go all the way over to the left side. Holes in a book are usually called a station, so you're going to the station on the left. And then you're going to come up right through that middle hole again, the middle station, and you're going to try and straddle the thread on the inside. So you have your tail on the one side, and then you're going to bring your needle up to the other side. So you have the tail on the left side, or the top side and the bottom side, so that it go one on either side, and then you're just going to tie a knot. So you're going to tie it twice. And then once you have it tied, you're just going to take your scissors and you're going to cut off the excess thread, probably about an inch, half an inch you can leave as a tail, and you can just tuck it into what's there. And then you're going to do the same thing for the other side, going down in the middle, coming up through the right station, cutting all the way across to the left station, and then coming back up from the middle, tying it across the center thread. So the next embellishment we're going to do is I just cut a strip of white paper and I put a piece of my decorative paper on top of that just to make a little pattern. And now we're going to make a slip cover for it. So you're going to line your book up against your slip cover and just make a little mark with your pencil. You don't want to have it going all the way across, about 3/4 of the way across the front of your book. And then you're going to fold that over, and then you're going to open back up and nestle your book back into that little crevice. And then you're going to take your pencil and make another little mark there so that it's showing you the width of the book. And then you're going to fold that over. And each time you fold over, you just want to make sure that the edges of your paper meet up so that you don't have a wonky fold, so that it doesn't go askew. And now you've got the width of your book, and you're going to lay that flat. And again, you're going to take your pencil and you're going to make a little mark where the book meets the piece of paper. And you're going to fold that over again. And then fold it with your bone folder or your finger, it doesn't matter. And then you're going to do it one more time. And you're going to take your pencil, again getting the width of the book. You don't want to squish the book totally so that it's too tight. You want to kind of let it breathe a little bit. And then bring that over. And then you're going to just check and make sure that it's going to fit properly. Bring that over and you're going to fold it. And then you're going to make a little mark with your pencil where it folds over, and then take your glue stick and then just run a little glue there and finish it off. The wind was not cooperating with me while I was doing this video, you can tell. So now you're just going to take your glue stick, and you can just eyeball it if you want, or you can use that cover piece of paper like we did before. That's up to you. And then fold that over, match it up to that little mark that you made on the outside, and that's your slip cover. So now that will hold your book closed. So you're going to just slip it over the top of your book, right on down, and it just makes a nice little decorative embellishment for the front of your book. And that's it. There you go.